Welcome to your financial wake-up call. Turning 30 is an inflection point, and if your savings are thin, this is the decisive moment to prioritize safety and growth. In this video, we'll lay out a practical, urgent plan to build your emergency fund, invest aggressively for the long run, and budget smartly. Let's move step by step so you can regain control and protect your future. First, let's recognize why your 30s are so important. You may be growing your income while compounding returns have the most time to work for you. This combination makes today's decisions extremely consequential. As a result, getting the order of operations right, safety first, growth second, luxuries later, can change your entire trajectory. Next, here's our roadmap. We'll cover the emergency fund mandate, a practical budget framework, aggressive investing principles, and a short action plan. We'll test your understanding with quick quizzes, visualize the strategy with diagrams and a sample budget, and then close with a crisp summary and next steps. Before we continue, a quick but important disclaimer. This video is for education only and is not financial advice. Markets are uncertain. Past returns do not guarantee future results, and your situation is unique. For personalized guidance, please consider working with a fiduciary financial advisor. The examples provided here are simplified and illustrative. Now let's address the red siren. If you have less than 1 month of expenses saved in a high-yield savings account, prioritize building your emergency fund immediately. The target is 3 to 6 months of core living costs, rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, and transportation. Allocate $650 per month exclusively to this fund, and pause all non-essential spending, including travel. This temporary restraint prevents exposure to high-interest debt that can permanently set you back. Once you reach the 3 to 6 month threshold, you can resume other savings and discretionary spending more safely. Moving on, here's how to build the emergency fund. First, add up your core monthly expenses and multiply by 3 to 6 to get your target range. Second, use a high-yield savings account with a competitive rate and no fees, ideally FDIC or NCUA insured. Third, automate a $650 transfer from each payday so you never rely on willpower alone. Fourth, pause all travel contributions and non-essential spending while you're in recovery mode. Fifth, apply any side hustle income, such as freelancing, weekend shifts, or delivering, to accelerate your progress. Finally, keep going until you have at least 3 months, and preferably 6, before you divert money elsewhere. Quick quiz. Before you resume travel savings, what is the minimum emergency fund goal you should reach? Is it 3 months of expenses, 1 month, 2 weeks, or no emergency fund needed? You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is 3 months of expenses. The guideline is 3 to 6 months. 3 months is the minimum threshold before you resume discretionary goals like travel. Next, let's structure your budget. Start with a needs, wants, and savings framework such as 50, 30, 20. While in recovery mode, reduce wants and increase savings so that 100% of the savings allocation goes directly to the emergency fund. Automate fixed bills and savings first. Then, manage spending within your remaining wants bucket with a weekly check-in. Only after your emergency fund is complete and you've reduced your exposure to debt should you expand wants again. Now, once your emergency fund is in place, invest aggressively. Time in the market matters far more than timing the market, and your early 30s are ideal for a stock-heavy allocation because you have decades to ride out volatility. Aim to contribute at least 15% of your income toward retirement. Waiting even 5 years can require dramatically higher contributions later to reach the same goal. For example, contributing $500 per month at an 8% annual return for 35 years grows to a large sum, whereas starting 5 years later reduces the time for compounding and can cost you tens of thousands, if not more, in opportunity. The key is to maintain a growth-focused allocation appropriate for your risk tolerance while staying consistent. Another quick quiz. For someone in their early 30s aiming for long-term growth, which portfolio tilt is generally recommended? Is it stock-heavy, bond-heavy, all cash, or gold only? You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is stock-heavy, such as 80 to 100% in stocks, assuming your risk tolerance and time horizon support it. With decades ahead, a growth focus is typically advantageous. Meanwhile, let's compare traveling now versus delaying. Traveling now may create short-term happiness, but it increases the risk of debt, slows emergency fund progress, and leaves you vulnerable to unexpected expenses. In contrast, delaying travel accelerates your emergency fund, reduces stress, and allows you to invest consistently. As a result, you can travel later with cash and confidence rather than relying on credit. To illustrate, here's a hypothetical 6-month sprint. With a base contribution of $650 per month and occasional side hustle income, the emergency fund grows from $0 to $4,550 in half a year. If your monthly core expenses were about $1,500, 3 months of expenses would equal $4,500, which this plan reaches by month 6. Your exact numbers will vary, but the principle holds. Steady contributions plus extra income accelerates completion. Here is a 90-day sprint plan. In weeks 1 and 2, you audit expenses and cancel unused subscriptions. In week 1, you open a high-yield savings account and set up automation as an early milestone. Next, you launch a side hustle in weeks 2 through 4 and continue paid gigs from week 3 through week 12. You schedule budget reviews at weeks 4, 8, and 12 and perform a portfolio check and rebalance around week 5 to ensure a stock-heavy tilt fits your risk tolerance. Additionally, you mark emergency fund milestones at approximately 1,000, 3,000, and your full 3-month target to track progress and maintain motivation. To keep you moving, here's a concise checklist. Open a high-yield savings account and automate contributions. Calculate your 3 to 6 month expense target. Direct $650 per month to the emergency fund and cap once until you're done. Launch a side hustle for extra momentum. Set retirement contributions at 15% or higher as circumstances allow. Rebalance to a stock-heavy allocation that matches your risk tolerance. Finally, schedule monthly reviews and quarterly portfolio rebalances to stay on course. Before we wrap up, remember these key points. Build the emergency fund first, aiming for 3 to 6 months in a high-yield savings account. Allocate $650 per month until the fund is done, and pause travel to avoid taking on debt. Then invest aggressively for long-term growth with a stock-heavy allocation suitable for your risk tolerance, targeting at least 15% of your income for retirement. Use side income to speed things up and manage cash flow with a clear needs, wants, and savings budget. In summary, start with safety by building 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account. Direct $650 per month plus side income to reach your emergency fund goal as soon as possible. Operate a lean budget by shrinking wants and automating savings. Once the emergency fund is complete, invest aggressively and contribute at least 15% to retirement accounts. By delaying luxuries briefly, you position yourself to enjoy them later without debt. Thank you for watching. If this was helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell us your biggest money goal in the comments. Your engagement helps others find this content, and it motivates us to create more practical guides. See you in the next video.